Transmaxing. Oh boy. We have to go back and talk about why, to the alt-right, the ideal woman is a man. Let's take this back to the 1980s. Ronald Reagan deregulates a lot of advertising. Video games get classified as toys targeted towards boys. Culturally, we have lots of movies about the noble nerd. These are your young white boys, protagonists, nerds who can't get the girl, who's with some meathead bully instead. But they're the protagonist. They're a person. So through pervy adventures with their other white boy friends, they can prove their merit and earn the girl at the end. They are not hot or popular, but if only she knew the merit, the earned worthy skill, the feelings of the protagonist, she would come around and choose him. So here we have this cultural myth about what a real nerd looks like, with earnesty and meritocracy at its core, with emotional insecurities and desires, and the strongly held belief that these are boy spaces for boys. And to be fair, women were rare in these spaces because of marketing pressures. So when they saw a woman enter their spaces, they thought she's not authentically a nerd. She's here just to profit off of the hierarchy of the space because obviously everyone will be attracted to her, and she doesn't really care. Credit where credit's due, there's a small grain of truth here that gets exploded out of control. I'm a nerdy girl, I like video games, I've been in gaming clubs and groups in person and online my whole life. And there is an often unspoken social game that happens when women enter these space. And a lot of the boys in these space will immediately rally around this girl's orbit, trying to impress her, compete for her attention, or be nice to her. They think they're slick. They are not slick. Everyone actually knows what they're doing. And sometimes these girls think they're slick, and everyone knows what they're actually doing. For some of these women, there are two motivations. The first is they're there to play games. That's why I'm there anyway. I went to these spaces because I like games. I don't like men, I like women, and I go to see this happening around me and I will just break that social barrier and tell them I'm uncomfortable and I'm not interested in that. And when that happens, some of them will continue trying to be my friend, but I know what they're up to. And sometimes they just fuck off and never talk to me ever again, and they're pissed. But the other motivation for some women, and it's usually a bit of both, they do like the games, but they do also like the attention. Because the social bar in these spaces is pretty low. And girls can be mean. They might not be able to be the popular Regina George hot cheerleader girl, but in a gaming space, it's quite easy to be a queen bee if you're a girl. Off the top of my head, it's really only 1 in 5 girls in these spaces will act like that. And they do casually like the games too, but they also like stringing several guys along to buy them snacks or vending machines and stuff like that. Because I think a lot of people like to be liked. And the higher visibility equivalent of that these days is streamer girls, who will have several mods strung along into free labor monitoring their communities for them, and several audience members giving them donations. And look, the dancer doesn't actually like you, but there's mutual interest in pretending she does. But to these very online gamer boys, that is just how they think of women. That is how they think all women to be. Even if they are interested in you, or engaging with you, or sharing your hobbies, they don't actually like it or believe it. They're just manipulating you for money and attention. This is the myth that underlies incel, red pill, misogyny kind of spaces. And they don't have any better social emotional answers to address this, so they just say go to the gym. And to those who do care about the video game still, by the way, because that's what these spaces are, women feel sinful to them because these spaces were built by lonely nerds who view being smart or funny or good at the games as a pure meritocracy, no matter what they look like. And women, by virtue of being hot, get a handicap. Once in a gaming club I was in back in college, there was one girl who would play Smash Brothers with all the guys, and they'd try to be nice to her or whatever, or try to impress her, and she was actually just there to play the games, and she would kick their ass. She was like a competitive player. It was really funny, actually. But yeah, a lot of these men, deep down, built on generations of cultural belief, don't trust women, even when women share their hobbies, especially when women share their hobbies. And these men are already so socially and emotionally underdeveloped that when they have feelings or attraction or insecurities, it's hard for them to share it. And they're really against the idea of expressing themselves to someone who is stringing them along or not earnest about it and might use them. That is not a safe person to them. Sometimes they're right. Most of the time they're wrong, and it's really sad because they will turn away people who like them because they don't believe it. So now you have these rooms full of boys who are very primally heterosexual, but cannot bring themselves to trust or get with women. They feel held hostage to their own hormonal desires. What do? Well, a lot of them know bits and pieces about edgy imperialist military history, like the Roman Empire, and they like that value of pure masculinity that only the in-group can understand. And to encourage bonding and to improve morale among the older soldiers, they would be assigned younger, more feminine male soldiers to practice with. I don't know how historically accurate or widespread all that is, but that's not the point. That's what they know and believe, and they thought that's a good idea. And odds are in their friend group, they can find at least one guy who's so kind of emotionally dead inside they don't really care, or is gay, or maybe kind of agender and they really don't care either way, and they will start to present feminine. Their idea of femininity comes less from real women in the world and more like anime girl figurines. There's like idealistic hyper-femininity, it's pure aesthetic hedonistic beauty. And if nothing else, even that femboy can enjoy himself in the mirror, and the others can enjoy him. Sometimes they even get a trans girl to do this, but it's really transphobic. They don't see her as a real woman. But for all parties involved, it's slightly better than nothing. And the homies can end up using the homies as an emotional and sexual band-aid fix. There are a lot of young men talking about how epic the Crusades in World War II were while wearing thigh highs. A lot of them think you'll never be an alpha male and get the girls anyway. So why bother? If you can't beat them, join them. A lot of this is jealousy about the social emotional skills and support networks that women have that they don't have and don't know how to replicate. And sometimes it's how the trans women in those groups, who might not even realize it yet, think that everyone hates being a man, but women have it better and it seems so much more fun. They don't seem to realize that most men, I assume, like being men, are actually honestly men. So their whole misogyny is just misdiagnosed, jealous gender dysphoria. And all this comes together in how and why to alt-right men, including very manly men, they hate women so much, they've come up with their own homegrown alternative. This is called transmaxing. The only way they think they could ever get a relationship is by becoming a better woman than a woman ever could. The kind of woman their male friends could actually get with. The kind of woman that their male friends could open up to. A woman they could actually trust and like.